such a wealth of information there, and including things that I was struggling with and trying to recreate. If I'd have just looked in that manual and seen all the resources available to me, I could have saved myself a lot of time and trouble. So you may use those in the breakout room if you were able to download them, or if you have access to them on your computer. With that, we're going to get started. I'm going to share my screen. And I think you all know that you are in the club officer training for secretary today. You are basically the club scribe, and you will be charged with maintaining the history of your club for this year, which is no small feat. The agenda today, we're going to talk about the secretary role. We'll talk about the specific responsibilities of secretary, and we'll also make sure that we give you resources to do that. The objectives are you should be able to leave here today feeling confident in knowing what your role is, feeling confident that you can fulfill those responsibilities that you're tasked with, and that you also have an idea of where to go to find resources if you don't have the answer. Right now, I want you to think about, just in your mind, think about what you believe is the essence of your role as secretary. There's specific tasks, but if you were asked, what is the essence of your role? Just think about what you would say that it is. Toastmasters says that your job is to keep the club organized and up to date. And again, today, we hope to give you the resources to make that manageable. That Club Leadership Handbook is item 1310 if you weren't able to get it. So be sure and get that if you don't have it on hand right now. But go ahead and put in the chat, if you will. What are the specific responsibilities you believe are going to be yours this next year as secretary? Some of you may be brand new to the role. Some of you may have done it many, many times. So throw in the chat, what are your specific roles, do you believe? And Vera, maybe you can call a few of those out.
Yeah. So we are getting few of them. Minutes of the meeting, documentation, notes taking, keeping the meeting, active listening.
Beautiful. Yes. So right off the top, I think that's what most people are going to think of is the notes and the recording of the meeting. There are a few other tasks that you will be asked to do, and we'll talk about those. But just with what we have in the chat and what you've already thought about, I'm going to read the club mission, which is on page 3 of that club leadership manual that you had. And let's think about your specific tasks as secretary as they relate to the club mission. The club mission is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. So let's we're going to go into breakout rooms. And what I want you to do, there'll probably be about 5 in a room. What I want you to do is brainstorm how your specific tasks, maybe as you understand them now, support that club mission. And maybe you'll get ideas from other members of things you're not even thinking about how you as secretary can support the club mission, which is really to help individuals in the club develop. You're going to go into the breakout room. We're going to have 5 minutes. So once you get in there, assign one person as the scribe, and that person will also have an opportunity to share if they raise their hand when we come back, and assign another person as timer. The Zoom will give you 1 minute warning and send you back automatically. You won't have to do anything. So you'll get that warning at 4 minutes from Zoom. You might want to have them time you at 2 and 3 minutes. And with that, we're going to go ahead and send you off into rooms, and you think about those tasks, how they help support the club mission.
So all the breakout rooms are open. You should be able to see that on the bottom bar and join the breakout rooms, please.
We can pause the recording.
I know. That's a little,
You have
We'll have to-
chat. You have chat.
no, I've lost everything.
Oh, hit the escape key.
Yeah, and that's not doing anything since this, oh, here, let me do this. Okay, there. Thank you. Thank you, Linda. All right, looks like people are coming back. Can you let me know, Vera, when everyone's back?
I think we are in quorum. There are 52 participants who are back.
Okay, so everyone should be back. Okay, so let's just see here. It seemed like there were some issues with the breakout room. Show of hands if you were able to get with people and have some kind of a brainstorming session.
Yes.
Yes, awesome. Okay, so go ahead and raise hand, and Vera, you can call on someone to share what you came up with in your breakout session.
Yeah, let's go by rooms. Can one room go first with their comments?
I can go if you like.
Yeah. Lori, please go ahead.
Okay, thanks. So we came up with a few things. One of them was basically helping out the VPE by keeping records of each person's goals and where they're at with their goals. We also talked about how our meeting notes, especially the officers' meeting notes, are helpful with following up on what needs to be followed up on. So those action items that, maybe we don't get resolved in one meeting, it reminds us in the next meeting to make sure we get those resolved if we haven't already. And also helping with documenting where the club is at with achieving their goals and helping spread awareness of where we're at. Those are a few things we came up with.
Awesome. And as a former VPE, I love that first idea. Okay, Vera, do we have another?
Hello, we were in room 1 and we
Catherine.
had several additional points, making sure in the notes to take down new members and names so that people are more familiar with returning guests or new guests. Also inputting into the chat the word of the day, any resources, and just making sure that extra materials are also accessible in the chat as well.
Wonderful. I hope everybody's got a pen and paper, and if these are things you hadn't thought of, that you jot them down. So there's some really good ideas here I hadn't thought of. Okay, Vera, is there someone else with a hand raised?
This is Clara. I supposed to be the one represent our room, but I can't remember our room number. So am I room number 3?
Please
guess.
go ahead and share your comments.
Okay,
It's okay
okay.
if you don't remember.
So we think the secretary should be a central person that keep record of all our accomplishment or the information that important information bring to the club, and keep the minutes and minutes reflecting to the meeting, so we can we can do better next time in the meeting, and also learn from the previous meeting what we can learn, and basically just manage documentation and keep record of the everything for the club. And that's all I have.
That's quite a bit. Yeah, and all of that really helps to support the club as a whole in that club mission.
Anyone from any other breakout room? I see one hand raised here. Yelena, you wanna go?
Sure, thank you. I represent breakout room 10. I am personally feel very lucky. Our secretary at TME always does a fantastic job. The minutes come out 20 minutes after the meeting by the clock. The minute over, 20 minutes later, the minutes and everybody's in the box. Also because our officers meet before their club meeting, so the officers' executive committee minutes come out at the same time. So I feel very spoiled. And it's good to know what goes behind that thing because I couldn't. So our breakout room came out with this long list. The secretary keeps club records. So the minutes from all the previous meetings and agendas. The secretary keeps minutes of executive meetings of the officers. The secretary assigns proxy on behalf of the club for the international convention. The secretary answers questions about the club to prospective members and interested guests. The secretary sends out minutes so that absent members, or the ones who could not attend, can catch up. I personally appreciate that very much. And in one of our breakout room members clubs, the secretary also organizes agenda and sends out the agenda 2 weeks prior to the meeting. And secretary puts together the agenda. The secretary also tracks action items that were on the agendas and meetings and need follow-up. One of our breakout members also put it very well. The secretary is a bridge between members and executive committee.
Mhm.
And on my personal impression, I always think that the president is the heart of the club. The VPE is the brain of the club, but the secretary is an artery that connects everything. And without healthy blood flow, neither heart or brain will not function. So here is the importance of the secretary role. Thank you.
Fabulous.
Thank you. We have time for one more. Any one breakout room? Yeah, I see Sunita's hand raised. Please go ahead.
Hey, thank you, Vera. So I'm from breakout room 10, sorry, 9. We didn't get a chance to get inputs from everyone in the club because of in the group because of the time, but I have a couple of points that few of them mentioned. So one is secretary. He welcomes new members, welcome back the members who just visited and never came back again, and make sure they are in a comfortable position when they join these club meetings, and help drive them from visitors to members. And the other one is secretary is responsible for reminding club officers about the trainings and promote officers team. And lastly, taking minutes of meeting for the regular club meetings and also executive meetings, so that members who didn't get a chance to join the club meetings, they'll know by actually looking at this email with few bulletin points on what happened and what's going to happen in the next meeting. That's all I have. Thank you.
Fabulous.
Thank you,
Wow,
Sunita.
there was just a wealth of information, which I knew we would have here today. So if you haven't already made a contact, if you see someone that you feel would be a great mentor for you, if you feel that you have a lot of experience in this role and that you would love to be able to mentor some other new secretaries that maybe don't have confidence, I hope you can connect and will connect. Those of you that have that confidence, there's other people out there that really would love to have the input. There was, like I say, such a wealth of information here, and I was unable to jot everything down. So please try and make connections as we go forward. Now, let's see. Just to briefly summarize, the secretary takes notes and maintains files. Each of you said that, both in the chat and that came in the breakout rooms. You report the new officers to world headquarters, and that's something I'm not sure if I heard mentioned. Your previous secretary should have shown you how to do that. It will be under Toastmasters International and Club Central, and that's something that you'll do if for some reason you have a change mid-year, or if your club happens to change officers in 6 months, that will be your task to do then. If it's a full year, perhaps you won't be doing that until next year, but that's another one of your tasks. And then you're also base camp manager. Now, if those 3 words strike fear in your heart, you're definitely going to want to reach out to the previous secretary, your president, anyone. You know, if there's no one in your club that has the competence as base camp manager to be able to teach you, contact your area director. There are people who have really dug into pathways, are completely comfortable with this, and there's still some members that were part of the legacy program for a long time and have been dragging their feet. So as secretary, you are one of the base camp managers, and so that's something you definitely want to get comfortable with, and there's all kinds of resources for you to do that. Now, I'm going to read to you from the Toastmasters Club Constitution and Standard Bylaws of Toastmasters International. The very official, this club secretary is responsible for club records and correspondence. The club secretary has custody of the club charter, constitution, and bylaws, and all other records and documents of this club. Keeps an accurate record of meetings and activities of the club and of executive committee. Maintains an accurate and complete roster of individual members of this club, including the address and status of each individual member, and transmits the same to the successor in office. The club secretary provides notices of meetings as required by the Constitution and immediately notifies World Headquarters of Toastmasters International of any change in the roster of individual members. So that's the very official Toastmasters International definition. We'll go through, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. As secretary, you'll have responsibilities at the club meeting, outside the club meeting, and at the executive committee, as all of these were mentioned by the previous speakers. The club meeting, you'll have areas before the meeting, upon arrival, and then during the meeting. Before the club meeting, you'll want to post online and notify the members that the minutes are available for review. As Elena said, they have a very efficient secretary that posts the minutes 20 minutes after. That may be a goal that you want to set for yourself, or maybe it's within a day, but it's nice to have a goal set so that you can get those out in a timely manner. Prepares a list of actions for the president. Now, this is as pertaining to the executive committee. You'll prepare a list of action items to present during the business meeting, and that includes any business or announcements or any correspondence that was mentioned in the last executive meeting as a reminder to the president. Different clubs are going to have different cultures and ways of doing things. So these are recommendations, but it may be that the specific club you're in has assigned these tasks in a different, slightly different way. So of course you're going to go with your club culture. This is just an outline of how Toastmasters International sees it. And then again, you'll update that club officers list. Upon arrival, it's different now with us meeting virtually. So rather than circulating the attendance sheet, you'll have to have some online way to keep track of attendance. But it's really important that you know who attended every meeting and that you have the contact information for any guests that you have. Some clubs keep minutes of regular meetings, some clubs don't. They only keep minutes of executive meetings. So again, follow the club culture that you are now secretary of, but you'll want to note any amendments once those meetings, once those notes are read, any amendments, and you'll want to record those wherever you keep them. I think a lot of people used to have paper files, but now that we're in this virtual world, maybe they're kept on a website, on a back end, or in Teams as a file. So find out where your club posts those minutes, and that's where they're going to be stored. Again, maintaining an accurate roster, submitting the club officer list. You'll also handle any correspondence. So currently, we are partnering with Rotary International. And if your executive board decides that they want to send out an invitation to the local clubs in Rotary, that would be something that they would probably decide on the gist of the letter, but it would be upon the secretary to send that correspondence and maintain any response. You're going to keep the club files, as was mentioned by everyone, and attend the club executive committee meetings. Now, outside the meetings, you also have some official roles. You vote at the international business meetings, and you'll get notice of that. You facilitate the member progress in Basecamp, because as we said, you're one of the Basecamp managers. You'll probably work closely with the Vice President of Education with that. And you really need to find a replacement if you're unable to attend a meeting. Whether it's an executive meeting or a regular club meeting, other members may not be aware to really recognize that they need to take those minutes. They're just not in the habit of it. And as scribe and the history keeper, it's really important that if you're unable to be there, that you have someone that can take that information down and get that to you. And then again, you will prepare your successor for office. Executive committee meetings, pretty obvious. You'll read the previous meeting minutes. Be sure and get those minutes out to the officers ahead of time. A lot of times those executive meetings are limited in time. And if everyone has to read through and look for corrections or additions, it takes up precious time. So get those out to the officers ahead of time. Make sure they have that so that at the beginning of the meeting, you can read the minutes, ask for any corrections or additions, any amendments, and then record those. Now we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of the how, when, who, and what. going to have another breakout session. That one was very fruitful. This one, you can drill down a little bit deeper, maybe use the resources, the handbook, or the Distinguished Club Program link that you were sent, that information. Because now we're going to have 7 minutes this time instead of 5. And I want you to really come up with an action plan. How will you fulfill this responsibility? When will each action be completed? Maybe you choose one task, and maybe it's a more complicated one. As the base manager, something that's a little bit outside your comfort zone, and you can brainstorm and you can get ideas from others in your breakout room with this. Who might be available to help you if this is something that you feel is beyond the scope of just one person? And then what materials and resources can you use to do this? So once again, we're going to go into a breakout room. These are the questions I want you to answer. You come up with an action plan and you choose the task. You'll have 7 minutes. Again, identify a scribe. That person will probably be the speaker when we come back to share. And you might want to have a timer. Zoom will give you a 1-minute warning and will bring you back to the big room, so you don't have to do anything. So you'll get a warning at 6 minutes of this breakout room. So off you go.
Yeah, all the breakout rooms are open. Please join the breakout rooms. I can broadcast this message again to you all. Yeah, the breakout rooms are closed.
Okay, great. Welcome back, everyone. And hopefully you were able to drill down even deeper into some of these aspects and responsibilities that you have.
Not everybody is back yet, Barbara.
Okay.
Yeah, let's give them a minute or so.
You let me know.
And we are back.
Okay, great. Welcome back, everyone. And hopefully you were able to drill down a little deeper into some of these aspects and responsibilities. So I'd love to have some sharing. If you want to share what you brainstormed in your breakout room, go ahead and raise your hand. Vera, you can call on people as they raise their hand. If you can, keep your sharing to maybe 1.5 minutes. No one?
I see Sherry's hand raised. Go ahead, Sherry.
Okay. So we came up with few items here that we should keep a retention list, and maybe we should pay for cloud service so we can keep all the documentation and have access. Everybody will have access to it. And we also have some member mentioned that this is new for her on this role. So she is still trying to learn and hoping to look for mentor to help her to be a successful secretary on her position. And another question is when the task should be completed, and she mentioned it hopefully on the same date. So I guess what it meant is the minutes should be done by the same day. So you can keep, get your memory fresh, so you can get your minutes reflected to the meeting as accurate as possible. And also, who is there to help? Former secretary that can help, and also the changes should be recorded in the minutes. So next time when we talk about it, so we have documentation to follow. And I guess that another thing is the templates they are talking about. If they have existing templates, easier for the secretary to help to do her role. And also they would like to have an existing agenda that would be easier for her to follow as well. And that's all we have. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Lara. Sherry and Pete raised their hands. Can we keep it to a minute? Go ahead, Sherry.
Most of what we covered was already covered by the previous speaker. A couple of things that we talked about that were not was what should be included in the minutes in how to fulfill the role. And we made the point that any changes, which I heard before, but also to make sure that the pathways information was included and accurate for each speech in case someone needed to come back to document what they had done because they had not kept their records completely straight, or that you had to go back to fulfill the recommendations and the things that had to be done to complete a path. Same thing, previous secretary and other members keep communication with the other officers so that you know what's going on. And as far as what resources you could use to help you would be past minutes. Be sure to look at how they've been organized, talk to the previous secretary, and read your club secretary manual. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Pete, you want to go next? Finish fast.
Oh, sure. I was in breakout room 7, and we kind of picked as a task to talk about was being your base camp manager backup role that you are as a secretary. And one person in our group mentioned that, or Jim mentioned that, finding more experienced people to talk to, and we came up with the who's would be to talk to current and former VPEs, since they should be using that tool already, and perhaps the president or other people that you could reach out to. Resources obviously would be the videos that are on Basecamp and the other help that comes with it. And in Toastmasters has some documentation. And for when we kind of generally discussed setting up calendars, people didn't have a super grasp on all of the capabilities of Basecamp, or whether it could be used to set up mails to get keep you on task to look at it every once in a while and things like that. So that's basically what we covered.
Great ideas, good ideas. And I do think that is probably one of the bigger tasks right now as a secretary that you have that's under your umbrella. So I'm glad that you guys workshop that and were able to share some ideas. We may put in the chat, if you're looking for a mentor, you may put your contact information in there, or if you feel you've done this role several times and you have a gift at training, you might put your information in the chat so that others can reach out to you. This really, my wish for this is that this can be a connecting point for people who have gifts and talents, and for people who feel a little new and perhaps a little unprepared, like I have when I've walked into roles. So it'd be wonderful for us to be able to marry those two right now. All right, we'll go ahead with some resources at this point. We'll start with your checklist of your resources. And you can put a check on that top item, attend a district-sponsored club officer training program. We have almost completed this task today, so you've got your first check. Read the materials, something you can do, and I was glad to hear someone mention it in their brainstorming session. Read the materials, you can do that at any point in time, and trust me, there's a wealth of information there. You'll be really glad you invested the time. Meet with the outgoing executive committee. Hopefully that has taken place. It's always nice if a board can, if the election happens soon enough so that the new officers can sit in on a meeting or two, because I think of it like they're rowing a boat and they have a vision and they've spent a full year hitting little marks along that way. It's really important for the incoming board to recognize what's the long-term vision. Why were these things done in this year, rather than just starting anew and starting back at go, essentially. Meet with the outgoing secretary, very important. You've probably already done that to gather information and resources. Meet with the current executive committee. I would assume that your president has already had an executive committee meeting. If not, you may want to go and tap on their shoulder and ask if you can't get a meeting going. I find that the clubs that have regular executive committee meetings have the most success because they have a vision, they can keep progress. It's easy to forget of the ideas that you had, the things you had planned, and get busy with just what's in front of you. But if you can have those regular meetings, look at the action items. Oh, this is what we talked about last time. That's right. Okay, I still need to take action on that, or that is done. It really helps your club have great success. And then review and order any needed materials. Now that we're in a virtual world, that's probably not as big of a task as it used to be. However, you have the base manager task that kind of replaces some of that time, but there still may be items that your club is ordering. So check with the past secretary and see if there's something that the club is ordering, see where you're at on that, and that would be your responsibility. Additional resources you have in that email, the Distinguished Club Program and Club Success Plan. If you haven't already downloaded it, please do so. Guest book, not really important at this virtual time that we're in. Club officer list we talked about. You're going to go to toastmasters.org and go into Club Central, and you'll see many resources that have opened up to you if you haven't been an officer previous, and you'll be able to see the club officer list there. And then that last link is not really an active link. So this concludes the session to a large degree. I just want to thank you all for dedicating your lunch to this. I hope that there was value for each of you, no matter what stage you're at in your process with secretary, if you're brand new, or like I say, if you've done it many, many times. And I think I just want to leave with the idea that Toastmasters doesn't want to change the spots on us. You have unique gifts and talents, and they are so valuable to your club. So please share what you've got, and I'm going to turn it back over to Vera. We definitely want everyone to do an evaluation, and any feedback, you know, Toastmasters, evaluation. Any feedback is really welcome. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Barbara. Thanks
you.
everyone who attended this training today. I'm going to post a link in the chat. Please fill this survey, give your feedback on how this went. There are questions on would there be a recording? Yes, there'll be a recording. Thanks everybody. It was like nice having you here. I'm going to hand this meeting back to the district leadership for district announcements. Thank you.
Thank you, Vera. I am Tina Tate, and I am the Program Quality Director for District 2 this year. I have just a couple of quick announcements. One that was talked about here today, and that's your proxy. We have the International Convention coming up, and the proxies are due in by August 16th. And either the secretary or the president of the club, one or the other, must go in and assign the proxy for the club. That can be that person, either the president or the secretary. You can assign it to another club member that is going to the convention, or you can assign your proxy to the district director who will be at the convention. I'm dropping a link in the chat for a link to Toastmasters International that will give you all of the proxy answers that you may have questions to. The other thing that I want to talk about today is these trainings. We have several more before the end of the training season is over. You may go to, please take this back to your other club officers. Very important. You can go to any of the trainings and get credit towards Super 7. And you get credit towards Super 7 all the way to the end of the training. There is no early deadline for Super 7. So please go to the District 2 calendar on our website and have whoever hasn't been to training yet, have them pick one. It can be any one to get their credit. We are going to be posting these recordings on the District 2 YouTube channel. They'll be available within about a week. Now I'd like to introduce our Club Growth Director, Linda Vorthman, for her announcement.
Oh, thank you, Tina. I'm super excited about this announcement. So everybody here knows 20 people. So that means you can start your own Toastmasters Club. Maybe you've got a big family, or maybe your employer needs a Toastmasters Club. So start a brand new club between now and September 30, and we will give you 200 District $2, which you can use to buy anything at the Toastmasters store to promote the club. There's a list on the website of everything that you can use for your Toastmasters dollars. I do see a question in the chat that I want to address from Eric Ruiz about if the district director plans to survey the clubs to make sure that they're voting for the majority for the board of directors elections that are coming up during the convention. I just wanted to let everybody know that myself, Tina, and Heather Watson are all interviewing every single candidate, and it's taking hours to do that. And then we're having a long discussion about who we would believe is the best candidate to move forward for all of the positions. So back to you, Tina.
Yeah, just one more thing on that. When you cast for your proxy, you can choose who you want that district director to vote for, and she has to vote for that person. If you don't know and you don't mark that you want a specific person voted for, then you leave it up to the district director to make her own decision. And that's all I have on that. Back to you, Vera. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. We're on time. I would like every one of you to take the survey. Please copy the link. If the meeting gets disconnected, you may not have the link. So please take a copy of the link or click the link so it could open up a window. Please do take the survey. Thanks everyone for attending this meeting and helping us educate how the secretary role is done. I know most of you have done it so many times. We have few folks who are doing it for the very first time. And as it is said in the meeting, newer folks, please talk to the members who have experience, take them as mentors, learn from them, and help your club grow better. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Good to see you all.
Thank you all.
Hi, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.